Welcome back and thank you for staying with All Angles. Now, most university students across the country are settling into this academic year. Not so at the Sisulu University, however. Disgruntled students there are threatening to shut down, unhappy about the registration process and accommodation. And they want these problems to be addressed urgently. Let's bring in eNCA reporter Ronald Masinda to fill us in on the details. Ronald, exactly what are students saying is wrong with the registration process there?
Yeah, so we will be finding out very shortly when I speak to the regional secretary of SASCO. But what we have seen since we arrived in East London has been a hive of activity at the Sisulu University campus. Many students are here to register, and the lines have been quite long, Maseko, since early this morning. But for more on the issues on the ground, we are joined by Uvuyo. Uvuyo, thank you so much for your time. The registration process hasn't been smooth. What are the issues, if there are any issues?
Well, on the side of registration is running, but it's not running on a very smooth way. It's steady, it's slowly, because there are issues of NSFAS that students are not yet cleared by NSFAS. So what usually happens in previous years, students who are eligible for funding by NSFAS or students who are provisionally funded by NSFAS, they used to be catered for in terms of registration, but they registered, and then after being registered, they get accommodation. But to our surprise this year, if you are not yet cleared by NSFAS, even though they are provisionally funded, the institution does not give them status registration, ultimately accommodation. They are not receiving accommodation. And so that's where we stand in terms of registration. Even numbers are still very low in terms of registration.
Right. And in terms of how the university is handling this issue, are they handling it the right way?
We believe they're not handling it the right way because there's no transparency, there's no communication. There used to be a communication where the university will address their problems into nitty-gritties as to what is the problem that causes registration, that it is still a registration up to this far, because we believe that the registration could have long concluded. But the university is not issuing any communication, so they are not handling it in a very good manner, in a professional manner.
You were saying earlier that you were also inundated with messages and calls from concerned parents who have paid huge lump sums into the institution, yet you say that the children are not registered. Why?
Well, the problem with that, in that regard, students applied to the institution, they got admitted, they were sent admission letters by the registrar. After they were sent admission letters, they were required to register. And then upon registering in that portal system, they were required to pay minimum initial payment of 4,400, some 4,600 rands. Upon paying them the money, they discovered that the university just changed their statuses to not admitted, some to quota full or class full. So now they are not able to get any space.
We're seeing a lot of bags in that queue, and I assume that there are also students without student accommodation. What seems to be the challenge there?
Well, the challenge is in two categories. There are students who were here because they were admitted and then they were struggling to register as the university changed their statuses to not admitted. So they bought their bags, they are here, they thought they are going to register and ultimately be given their accommodation. But now they are stranded here. Category 2, it's continuing students who are looking for accommodation. They have registered, but in terms of accommodation, the residence unit is finding difficulties, as I've said earlier on, that there are challenges of NSFAS students who are not yet cleared. So they are here, they do not know where they're going to sleep even today.
We understand that in the province, the Premier also has some sort of a fund to assist students who are struggling financially. Are there challenges with that as well?
Yes, let me first acknowledge and appreciate the intervention by the provincial government as led by Honorable Oscar Mabuyane. Well, there is an amount that usually is pumped into the university, millions. But we have a problem with that because there is no proper channeling in terms of that funding. Because we will find that when we inquire about this funding to the institution as to account what it does, there is no proper transparency. So we were calling for the provincial government to please have its own category in terms of channeling this fund. For an example, if the provincial government could create a steering committee where there will be SRC, Student Representative Councils, and then a provincial team that is going to create categories so that when the money is sent to the university, it is being sent with attachments of students, as to say, as the provincial government, we have this number of students with these details, with these student numbers that we wish to pay. And in that amount, we do prioritize the issue of post-grad students, BTech students, because we have been struggling to find accommodation for BTech students. As in Sisulu, they are not funded by NSFAS. So those are the people that are being stranded each and every year. So we wish that the provincial government can do those channels and make a proper investigation as to, in previous years, what does this money do into the institution?
My last question, what is the plan of action if these problems are not resolved?
Well, we were waiting for the response, as I have written to the registrar of the institution about the matter of defrauding of students and also other issues that we have picked up on the ground. So we were waiting for the response on the side of the university. Therefore, the university spokesperson responded in saying that this problem is a problem across the country, which we believe that is not the case, because we have tried to reach out to other universities. We found that the system in other universities is running smoothly in the sense that if a student applied to the institution, automatically, if quotas are full, the system will reject that particular student in saying quotas are full. But only in Sisulu University, where a student will be admitted, yet the quotas are full. So we believe those are blatant lies. That is a cover-up story. But we will have to understand a difference between someone who is protecting a job and someone who is protecting the revolution. Because now we're people who are trying to advance the national democratic revolution and the transformation agenda of these institutions. So we are not people who are against progress, but we are able to fight when we see that people are negligent in terms of the matters arising, and we are representing the poor and the poorest, because we are the children who are from the downtrodden masses of our people.
All right, Vuya, thank you so much for your time. Well, there you have it, Masego. Plenty of challenges with regards to the finances students that are facing as they look ahead to the academic year.